Welcome to Wales Today, live from Ebbw Castle, where the Queen ended the first day of her Diamond Jubilee tour of Wales. Hundreds turned out to see her and the Duke of Edinburgh attend a service at Llandaff Cathedral.
It's amazing, it's the best thing ever.
It's really good.
It was the best day of my life, it was so cool.
And at Glamorgan Park, she met members of Wales' Grand Slam winning rugby team, surprising them with what she knew about the game. And at a time of significant constitutional change, how influential is the monarchy now? Welcome to Ebbw Castle. This is where the Queen ended the first day of her Diamond Jubilee tour. And if it seems a little bit quiet here this evening, I can assure you that wasn't the case a few hours ago when the Queen was being shown around this museum. Now, this Diamond Jubilee tour of Wales is in some ways a trip down memory lane for the Queen. She's visiting many places that she's visited before. She's been here to Ebbw Castle, and she's been to Glamorgan Park, where she had lunch today with some of the members of that Grand Slam winning team. But her day began at Llandaff Cathedral with a service of thanksgiving, as Rebecca John reports.
These school children didn't mind the long wait for the Queen and the Duke of Edinburgh. The first event of their two-day visit was a national service of thanksgiving at Llandaff Cathedral for the Queen's 60-year reign.
It's amazing, it's the best thing ever.
Really good.
It was the best day of my life, it was so cool. Yeah, we saw everywhere.
600 people attended the service. In his address, the Archbishop of Wales praised the Queen for refusing to airbrush faith out of national life. The service was led by the Dean of the Cathedral.
Well, I was, teasing my friends in other cathedrals who thought she should have gone there, elsewhere, but I thought, no. This is the cathedral of our current Archbishop. It's in the capital city, or rather, the capital city is a suburb of Llandaff. That's how we like to look at it. And, it was just wonderful that she came.
Not everyone was here to cheer the Queen. There was a small Republican protest. The royal couple's next stop was Glamorgan Park, where they met hundreds of people at a reception. Among those waiting for them at the Orangery were Wales's Grand Slam winning rugby team.
She asked us about our fixtures. I was quite impressed, actually. She must have read up on everybody here, and how she remembered that, I don't know. But she recognised the team, congratulated us on our success this year, which was very nice of her.
After a lunch of suin, Welsh lamb and Welsh cakes, it was then on to Ebbw Castle in Merthyr Tydfil. One famous former pupil of Ebbw High School was delighted to meet the Queen again, proudly wearing his OBE.
I attended the school and I had a fantastic time here because it must have been incredible going to school in a castle. I said, well, I didn't live in a castle like you, but at least I went to school in one.
These two current pupils of Ebbw High had an audience they'll never forget. Tom Hyer and Sophie Davis were only told a fortnight ago who the special guests would be. There was tight security, as there always is with a royal visit. Police say 2 men were arrested in Merthyr on suspicion of public order offences. Tomorrow, the Queen and the Duke of Edinburgh will visit Ebbw Vale and Blaenau near Cracowell. They'll start the day with their 3rd visit to Aberfan since the disaster in 1966.
Well, showing the Queen around the museum today was the curator, Scott Reed. First of all, this isn't the Queen's first visit here, is it, to this area?
No, she visited during wartime with her father, George VI, and she was last here during the aftermath of the Aberfan disaster in 1966. However, today was a much happier occasion.
Yes. Did she tell you how she felt about being here today?
Not in so many words, but I could see she was highly interested visiting Merthyr Tydfil and seeing all these artefacts here on display.
Yes, and there were a couple of exhibits that particularly caught her eye, weren't there, Scott? Tell us first of all about this one.
Right, this actually a portrait by Rolf Harris's grandfather, George Frederick Harris. It's actually of Rolf's grandmother, and it was painted shortly after Rolf's grandmother heard that one of her sons, Carl, had been tragically killed in the First World War, and you can actually see there's tears in her eyes.
And what did the Queen say about that?
Well, she remarked that obviously with Rolf's father and Rolf's uncle fighting together in the trenches, that Rolf must be thinking of this when he's singing Two Little Boys.
So she's familiar with the Rolf Harris song, Two Little Boys.
She is indeed.
This is another probably quite timely exhibit with the local elections next week. Tell us about this and what the Queen said about this.
Right, well, Merthyr Tydfil has a long working class tradition of politics in the town. It had quite an active Chartist movement, and one of the Chartists, William Gould, developed this, the first automatic ballot box in the world. Very simple, each candidate had their own box, each voter had one coin, they went to the box with the candidate they wanted to vote for, put the token in, it counted it on the face there. No possibility of interference in the vote at all.
Any comments from the Queen about this?
Not really, but again, quite interested, I think.
And let's move on to the last exhibit that she really showed a particular interest in. What did she make of this dress? And tell us a little bit about it.
Right, well, this dress is by Laura Ashley, and Laura Ashley was actually born in Dowlais, Merthyr Tydfil. And I was telling the Queen how the traditional upbringing she had in Merthyr Tydfil, her Christian faith and traditional upbringing there, had a huge influence both on Laura as a person and also an influence on her traditional Victorian designs that she carried on into her dresses. So the Queen, I could see, was definitely interested in that.
Well, I'm sure she was. And thank you very much for talking to us and sharing some of your thoughts of today. Scott, thank you very much indeed. Now today, of course, Wales is a very different place to the one it was 60 years ago, and this is a time of great constitutional change. What will the royals mean to us in the future? Will they be just celebrities or something more significant? Roger Pinney reports.
She's opened bridges and tunnels here, sat through speech after speech, listened to our best singers and actors. And then there've been the handshakes, countless handshakes. North, south, east and west, she's done Wales, and always with the smell of fresh paint. This is Welshpool. The Queen came here 2 years ago during one of her Welsh mini tours. I was here that day and I can tell you the weather was very different. In bright sunshine, this high street was thronged with people. I'm back now because this is as good a place as any to test the temperature of royal sentiment. It was a trademark royal walkabout, a Queen making direct contact with her people. And young and old, the people of Montgomeryshire couldn't get enough of her. Although, to be fair, any local critics of the royal family would have stayed away that day. But for those who were there, it was an event to remember.
Everyone was packed out, because I work at Butchers, and you can see all down here, there was just people with flags and everything like that. It was a real good day.
Well, it's better than having a president. Don't you think? I think they're marvellous.
I think there's a place for the royal family in Britain. It's part of Britishness. So, yeah.
Long live the Queen.
But do those warm feelings for the Queen go beyond sentiment? Few of us these days are all that aware of the Queen's full constitutional significance. She is, don't forget, head of state at the pinnacle of political power.
We want to see a Wales where people do not reign over us just because they happen to have been born into a certain family.
Today her visit to South Wales was marked by Republican rallies, keen to point out that a constitutional monarchy isn't the only way.
The Queen really is not very welcome here. She's an irrelevance. In fact, the United Kingdom that she's Queen of is disunited and it's falling apart. I think once it gets down to its constituents' part, then I don't think we want a Prince of Wales, to be honest. It's an insult to us.
And then there's the question of what happens next. Through devolution, the nature of our democracy is evolving.
This assembly is here to represent the interests of Wales and its people.
The future succession from the Queen to Prince Charles and then on to Prince William looks assured. What isn't assured is the United Kingdom or kingdoms they may reign over.
I think in 50 years' time we probably still will have a monarchy, but what their function will probably be quite different. In many ways, the whole shape of the UK could well be different. You know, we may well be looking at an independent Scotland, and we're probably looking at more devolution for Wales. So imagine the monarchy will probably be one of the few kind of figureheads, if you like, that represent a kind of a Britishness within a far more federal UK.
And it's that ability to evolve which is perhaps the key to the monarchy's survival so far. During the Queen's 60 years on the throne, we've become much less deferential as subjects. But subjects we remain.
So, interesting times for the Constitution. Do join us a little later in the programme. Well, I'll be talking to some of the school children here at Cardiff High School who performed for the Queen earlier today. But now, Gary, back to you in the studio for the rest of the day's news.
Lucy, thanks very much for that. And yes, we'll have more from Lucy on the royal visit before the end of the programme. But now, let's look at reporting there. Well, let's go back now to Cyfarthfa Castle, Merthyr Tydfil, and the Queen's Diamond Jubilee visit to Wales. Lucy's there for us. Well, Lucy, it's been a day of flag waving and cheering, yes?
Yes, the Queen certainly had a warm welcome, that's for sure, despite the rather damp weather. Now, Cyfarthfa High School, part of it at least, is still based here at Cyfarthfa High School, and the headmaster is Alan Pritchard. First of all, it is your 100th year, isn't it?
It is.
How did it feel to have the Queen mark this occasion? Was that special?
Indeed it was. To have the Queen of England in her 60th year of reign with us in our 100th year of being as a school was something that was, well, quite remarkable.
It has a very unusual history, this school, doesn't it? And very rare to have that part of Cyfarthfa Castle.
Indeed, there's so much to the history of this school, and this just made it extra special in our 100th year.
Now, you are in charge of a number of young pupils. What is their take on the monarchy? Do they still feel that it's relevant?
Things like today make it extra special. The reception that the Queen received from the students of this school, the history of this school and its the way in which the monarchy has been here on so many occasions. The pupils themselves were so excited and up for this visit. It was all that we wanted it to be.
OK, thank you very much indeed. Now, you can only imagine, can't you, how nerve-wracking it must be to perform in front of the Queen. But some of the pupils at Cyfarthfa High did that, Tom and Sophie. I heard some of your performance. Our viewers might have seen it in Rebecca's report earlier. How was it? Were you nervous?
It was very nerve-wracking, exciting at the same time, but we've done a lot of performing, but this was just bigger than anything else we've ever done.
And it was quite an intimate performance, wasn't it? I mean, the Queen and the Duke of Edinburgh were very close to you both. Was that a bit off-putting?
Not really, because it was, it was a real privilege and things like that, so we would just kind of take it all in at the same time, and so it was a real honour, really.
Oh, great. Well, I thought it was an excellent performance. Well done. You must both be very pleased. And head girl, Sophie, what did the Queen say to you, and how did you feel about her visit?
She asked us about our roles as head boy and head girl within the school and about our relationship with our senior team, and it was just brilliant to get a chance to meet her and see her in our school environment.
And let's talk to the head boy as well, Curtis. What do you feel about the monarchy? Do you feel, with an 86-year-old monarch, do you feel that it's still relevant to you all as young people?
Well, definitely. Well, having met her, it makes me have an appreciation for tradition and a lot of respect for, in particular, the Duke of Edinburgh as well, because, of course, he was very human.
OK. Thank you very much indeed. Now, when I was at Glamorgan Park earlier, it was dry right until the Queen went inside the orangery, and then huge downpours. Derek, what has she got in store tomorrow? Derek, thank you very much. Now, the Queen has another very busy day lined up tomorrow. In the morning, she'll be visiting Ebbw Vale, which she first visited after the disaster in 1966. She'll be visiting Ebbw Vale, and then she'll be visiting the Glenelg estate in Crockhowell. We'll be following her every step of the way. From all of us, bye-bye. Now, this Diamond Jubilee tour of Wales is in some ways a trip down memory lane for the Queen. She's visiting many places that she's visited before. She's been here to Cyfarthfa Castle, and she's been to Glamorgan Park, where she had lunch today with some of the members of that Grand Slam winning team.
It's amazing. It's the best thing ever.
It's really good.
It was the best day of my life. It was so cool.
And at Glamorgan Park, she met members of Wales' Grand Slam winning rugby team, surprising them with what she knew. Welcome to Cyfarthfa Castle. This is where the Queen ended the first day of her Diamond Jubilee tour. And if it seems a little bit quiet here this evening, I can assure you that wasn't the case a few hours ago when the Queen was being shown around this museum. About the game. And at a time of significant constitutional change, how influential is the monarchy now? Welcome to Wales Today, live from Cyfarthfa Castle, where the Queen ended the first day of her Diamond Jubilee tour of Wales. Hundreds turned out to see her and the Duke of Edinburgh attend a service at Llandaff Cathedral.